Category 3 storm expected to be upgraded to a Category 4. That is a catastrophic hurricane. So let's take you right down to where the action is. There it is. And the onshore radars are now picking up this hurricane. You can see a very well and an extremely large eye of the hurricane, and the outer eye wall is looking fairly impressive from this vantage point as well, keeping in mind that this storm is still quite a ways offshore, but still being picked up by those Doppler radars. I was spinning this around to show you what this looks like in 3D. This is again from the onshore radar sites, showing that the outer bands, which are the closest here to the radar sites, are reaching up to easily 40 to maybe 42,000 feet. That's pretty good size. Now, these outer bands are already working their way onto shore, but if you look farther into the distance, you see this little ridge up here that rises up. That's the eye wall of the hurricane being picked up by the onshore radars, and it shows the cloud tops getting really, really close to about 50,000 feet. Because the storm is so far out into the Gulf and because of the curvature of the earth, I would say that those tops are easily reaching up to 50,000 feet along that eye wall right now. Well, this is a look at Laura and the latest stats. Right now, the wind speeds have bumped up to 140 miles per hour, and this is brand new. This just came in. It looks like the National Hurricane Center now has upgraded Laura to a Category 4 hurricane. Not many of these. It's very rare that we get these storms that will become this strong, but this one certainly is. The movement now is at the northwest at about 16 miles per hour. That would put it in line without any curvature or bend, a little bit closer to the Houston area. However, as the storm reaches landfall, it should interact with some of the upper level winds across the U.S., and that should begin to bend that storm to the north. So it's still looking like it's going to be right along that state line area between southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana. Beaumont, Texas, and it looks like Lake Charles, Louisiana, right in line to really catch heck from Hurricane Laura. And the center of low pressure has also dropped, now down to 952 millibars. All right, we've got some questions here, and just wanted to answer a couple of those for you. So if you do have a few questions about the hurricane, and I will go ahead and update Laura, and when I show you the track, I'm going to show you how Laura is going to be impacting our weather right here. I see Michael, I see Billy, Katie, Robin. Thank you guys so much for checking in with this. And if you have a question, again, I'll be checking this from time to time. So right now, the latest, and this is brand new, Hurricane Laura, now a Category 4 storm. And it looks like Laura may end up at Category 4 strength when it makes contact with land. This is a three-dimensional look of the storm. I wanted to fly you around, and I want to point a couple of things out here. You see various colors. Well, the colors mean something, and the colors are basically temperatures. The whiter colors that you see right at the very base, if you look straight down into the eye, you can see a whiter color, and then it kind of turns into more of a magenta, a blue, a green, a yellow, an orange, then the reds, then the really, really dark colors here. It's kind of opposite. Those colors indicate how cold the air is. So you get down right at the base where the rain is falling, and it's very, very warm down by the water. But you get up about 50,000 feet, and all of this is ice on top of that hurricane. So again, this is a powerful storm, and it's a deep one with a very well-defined eye. So Laura now a Category 4 storm. Let's track the progress, and you can see here as it made landfall, it was still at Category 4 strength, meaning that these winds will be catastrophic for any structures that are in the way. In fact, Category 4s could take down and completely level a lot of buildings. That's why everyone from southeast Texas to southwest Louisiana has been evacuated from this. Wanted to point this out because you don't see this all the time as well. Category 4 does drop immediately down to 3s and 2s, but this is well inland by over 100 miles, and it is still at Category 1 strength. And I'm not sure if I've ever seen this before, but up around Texarkana and almost up to the Mena, Arkansas area, it's still a Category 1 hurricane. So this may be one of the only hurricanes that have actually moved into Arkansas. So a state that is completely landlocked and quite a ways inland and still at hurricane strength. This is amazing. Does immediately, though, drop down to tropical storm strength, and then shortly thereafter, as soon as it's north of about Little Rock, that should dip down to more like tropical depression status. And basically, once it gets into the mid-latitudes of the United States, we just call those your standard everyday low-pressure systems, but very intense low pressure at the same time as that moves across parts of southeast Missouri. See what we have here for some questions. Yeah, that's huge, says Desiree. It certainly is. Let's see. We've got Elizabeth. We've got Matthew, Robin, Katie. I'll move on down here. Yeah, I agree with everybody. This is a big, giant storm. And when I saw that was still at hurricane strength all the way into Arkansas, that made my eyebrows kind of go, what? I'm in my 60s. I thought I'd seen it all when it comes to weather, but you know, every year it seems to be something different. And then as you can see that this will actually pass out into the Atlantic by the time the weekend draws near. But speaking of that, this hurricane will be impacting our weather pretty greatly throughout the weekend. You can see the hurricane warnings here along the coast, and that extends all the way into Arkansas. Arkansas, a few counties on the southwest side with hurricane warnings. Imagine if we had that happen in Kansas City. The folks there are certainly not used to it. Well, here comes the storm, and it looks like right in between about Beaumont and Lake Charles. This is, again, a forecast track. Doesn't mean that it's exact or precise, but it's looking pretty good. Look at that storm complex in western parts of Arkansas that will actually spin up into Missouri. Now, these are going to be more general thunderstorms by the time they reach Missouri, but as this area of low pressure moves by, that's going to be switching our winds to the north, and that is huge. This storm is going to be pulling in air from the south, from the east. Basically, everything feeds into a hurricane, so that's going to be pulling in air. As it's moving by to the south of us, our winds will be shifting to the north. It's going to drive a cold front through the area that cools us off this weekend. We're looking at highs Saturday and Sunday only in the lower 80s, so a nice refreshing break. So while some folks will be picking up the pieces and doing a lot of scrubbing once that hurricane moves through, it actually gives us a little bit of a benefit here in Kansas City. Here's a look at the rainfall. I don't think these numbers are going to be quite accurate. Again, I went with the most aggressive model that I could find, and it still shows 2 to 3 inches max with the rain. I don't quite buy that. We have to have 6 to 9 inch rainfall totals, at least in some isolated areas. And basically, it's right along that Louisiana, Texas coastal area. Looks like the rains will pick up in intensity across parts of Arkansas. Kansas City, we may not see a drop of rain out of this, but it doesn't mean that we will not be impacted because, again, like I said, as that center of low pressure slides by to the south, that will swing our winds to the north this weekend, and that's going to cool us off significantly. Well, hey, thank you, everyone, for tuning into this Facebook Live. Joy, thank you so much. Shantae, Denise, Kelly, Sherry. Yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And hey, this is not the last update. I'll continue to update you throughout the day on the progress of this storm, especially once it gets closer to landfall. And be sure to tune in today at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock because we'll do some pretty extensive coverage on